All right, time for another DIY project on the barn. Now, a few months back, I did an upgrade on the interior lighting that was using those old 8-foot fluorescent tubes. They were a real pain in the neck, and I put in some LED UFO lighting. Didn't really get a lot of power savings with that, probably because I used twice as many UFO LED light fixtures as I actually needed, because it is super bright in there. I literally could unplug half of them and it would still be plenty of light. But today, actually, we're going to look at a solar solution for lighting on the outside. Let me give you a little bit of a closer look. So I've got one of these old incandescent light barn light fixtures on both the front and the back of my barn. I don't even run the one in the back, mostly because I can't find the light bulbs anymore to replace them. But they have these monster light bulbs inside, and as I said, they're incandescent and they are power hungry beasts. This thing pulls about 250, 275 watts continuously, and it runs all night long. And since I have my barn running off solar right now, it eats about, this one light eats about 40% of my overall battery capacity overnight. And so then in the morning, for the first half of the day, I'm just rebuilding that battery capacity reserve just because of that one light. So I'm going to replace these fixtures, both the one here in the front and the one in the back, with an LED lamp or LED street light fixture that has a solar panel and an integrated battery in it. So it's going to allow me to take these lights completely off of the solar power. They will have their own solar power, and we're going to find out how well that actually works, how bright they actually are, and how long do they stay lit. So let's get into that project and see what we can do. All right, I bought a 2-pack of these lights, but this is basically what you get with each light. So you get a user manual with some assembly and installation instructions. Pretty straightforward there. You get the actual LED lamp itself, which is 3 panels of LEDs. It's got a motion sensor. It's got a built-in rechargeable battery in this case here. This is all very weather resistant. It's got a little 2-pin cable here that connects to the solar panel. This is a 35-watt monocrystalline solar panel, and that attaches to this whole assembly with this bracket system here. And this is the wall mount. And then if you're going to put this on a pole, you can actually buy a pole from them. They do sell pole options for this, or and you would use this back, this back clamp or bracket for that, or you can attach it directly to a wall. They do give you a couple different types of bolts for that. They give you these standard large bolts that you could use either coming, in my case, since I'm going through a 1-inch metal wall, I'm going to probably use these anyway because these are the most appropriate. But if you're going into like a cinder block or a concrete mount, they've got these concrete anchor fittings in there where you pre-drill them, put them in there, and then as you tighten this down, it pulls this end into this collar and it flares out and provides basically kind of a compression anchor fitting. They do give you this little wrench, but I mean, come on. Who doesn't have a wrench? Trying to use this thing would be an exercise in frustration probably, so probably not going to bother with that. And then last but not least, it does come with a remote control. I did actually put this in the sun yesterday just to give it a little bit of a charge, so we can turn that on, and as you can see, it gets very bright. Different modes here. So there's a mode where it comes on automatically at night at low power, I think 30%, and then when it detects motion, it automatically brightens. So I think that's pretty cool. This will pretty much allow it to run all night long, provided you get some decent sun to charge that battery up. And yeah, I'm gonna have to play with the modes on this just a little bit more because there's a lot going on here. So there's some different timer options and different ways that you can implement this. All right, so enough talk. Let me go ahead and do a sort of a partial assembly, and then I need to get up on the ladder, take the old fixture down, and then get this new one fitted in and figure out where I need to drill my holes. And installation should be very straightforward. I don't need to run any extra wires. It's all self-contained, and I really like that. So let's get to it. All right, just a quick check on assembly here. Got the little cross bracket on the back of the solar panel with the provided mounting screws. This is probably the trickiest part, to get the nuts back behind this little anodized aluminum frame. So that's a little bit of a microsurgery, but doable. And then on the main mounting pole, you just got the little U bracket that goes on there, which will then eventually connect to that guy. So before I put this on there, I don't want this to be too unwieldy when I'm up there trying to make sure this is level and drawing in the actual mounting hole drill spots. So I'm going to leave that off for now, and then once I get the holes drilled, I will finish the assembly with the solar panel, because I suspect this will be a lot easier to assemble here on the table than it will be once I get it 12 feet in the air. So back to it. All right, I've got the initial install done, and this is the remote that comes with it. It's a little chintzy feeling, to be completely honest, but yeah, let me show you kind of what the functions appear to be. I'll hold this up here so we can see the light and the remote at the same time. But it's got a couple of on-off buttons at the top there, and if you just press it on, it'll stay on during the day if you want it to, for some strange reason, and it'll just keep lighting until you shut it off, until the battery runs out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Then you can, if it is on, you can adjust to full brightness with the top button, and then half brightness with the bottom button, and then left and right there allow you to kind of cycle through different brightness levels, so you can dial it in however you want. Now, typically, how I would do this is I would turn this on and then press auto, which basically says it's only going to come on when the solar panel stops producing power, and then it will interpret that as time to come on. And then if you press the M button there on the remote control, like that, it will basically come on, but it'll come on at night at about 30% power or so. And then when it detects motion, it will then go to full brightness. And you can just sort of leave it like that. Now, the other modes that you can do, you can see there's 3 buttons on the bottom: 3 hours, 5 hours, and 8 hours. So those are only selectable if it's at nighttime. You can turn it on and then hit a timer, and it'll automatically just shut off after that elapsed amount of time. But I think for me, the most common use case is just going to leave it in auto mode. So it comes on at night, comes on in low power mode unless it detects motion, then it brightens up. And I think that's basically how I want it to operate. So it'll basically stay on for as long as I can possibly leave it on. And as you can see, this is not an ideal orientation because it's facing straight up to that soffit there on the other side. And I really don't have much option unless I were to modify that bracket somehow to point the panel a little further in the direction of the sun. So the sun basically comes up over there and travels across the sky. So it will get a fair amount of sun during the day. It'll probably get at least 3 or 4 hours worth of pretty decent sun. But then it's going to get, after that, pretty slim picking. So I'm going to have to see if that's sufficient to run this thing for a reasonable amount of time, and I'll have to report back. But for now, let's check back when it gets dark and see how this thing performs at nighttime. All right, it is 9:30. As you can see, the light is on. Came on its own. I do think it's plenty bright. It's certainly as bright as the original light was. Let me go get the remote control and see what that looks like. All right, got the remote control here. Hit the M key. It did brighten up a little bit. And it is starting to rain. There, okay, so that, I didn't have the mode set. So now it is in the low intensity where it can run much longer. Now if I start to move toward it, yeah, it automatically brightens up as I get to about 12 feet away. Yeah, pretty happy with that. And I don't mind it dropping to that lower brightness like it does right there. That's perfectly fine. I don't really need it to be any brighter than that. That's going to work out great. All right, I got the one in the back of the barn installed up there now. It is in the same basic kind of a position, only on the, what is this, the west side instead of the east side of my barn. So I still have the same kind of a challenge from a solar charging standpoint, but what I want to do is actually put this thing in normal automatic mode so it comes on at full brightness at night, and I just kind of want to see if I can monitor how long it's going to stay on, and you know, about how many hours of runtime can I get out of it before it just shuts down due to low battery. So we'll find out, and maybe I'll compare that with the one on the front of the barn and compare that with the motion mode, where you can actually have it run at low power until it detects motion, and just kind of see how they compare. So let's do that and we'll check back. Okay, so I've been using these lights for about a week and they are working out pretty well for me. I've got no major complaints, but I do think you want to at least understand one characteristic of how these things are designed. And that is, if they run out of battery power when they start to recharge and they regain battery power so they can run again, the default mode that they operate in is the low power mode, where they come on when the sun goes down, or basically when the solar panels stop generating power, and then the light comes on at 30%, and then they are motion sensitive, where it goes back to bright. So if you wanted it to stay on bright mode the entire time, rather than doing the the low brightness and then motion triggered to high brightness, that's fine. You can set them up to run like that. But if they run all the way down to where they run out of battery in the course of being in that mode, then they will revert to low power and then motion activated to high power. So just be aware of that. So if that particular configuration is what you're going for, then this is definitely a suitable solution for that. And these lights, as you saw, were pretty easy to install. Since they're all self-contained, there's no cables to run. And actually, I think I have plenty of solar to fully charge these batteries, even in the orientation that I've got them installed, with that little bit of a soffit overhang. I'm going to try to zoom in and see if you can make this out. But yeah, even though it was a mostly overcast and fairly stormy day with just periodic intermittent sun periods in there, we are still fully charged. All those LEDs are fully solid. If the battery state was still charging, what you would see is one or more of those kind of blinking as it shows you the state of charge. But the fact that they're all solid tells me that it got all the way charged up, even with a very intermittent sun day. I did drop the lighting down about 3 feet from where the original light was, to make sure that I was far enough away from the soffit that I was going to get enough direct sun, at least for the main part of the day. So just take that under consideration. Make sure that you can put these things in an area where they do get adequate sun, so you can fully charge that battery, and then they will last pretty much all night when the light does come on. And if you let it come in default mode, which is that motion triggered brightness, at nighttime, they actually won't run out of battery. They'll still have some battery left the next day, provided they were fully charged at the beginning of the nighttime period. So pretty good stuff. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go check those out. And yeah, thanks for joining me for this video. I do hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have fun out there.